What you do say, girl? Like, Little Boo Thing is such an earworm of a song. I'm not sure if I like it. I loved it when it first came out, but they overplay them sometimes, and then it gets a little bit much, but still good. It's different. So I want to journal, but my mind works so hard, so fast that my writing can't keep up. So video journaling, I guess, would be the next step to go. I did a small little video. I like to do, so what I was doing before was like trying to channel my channels into a channel. And I was using Instagram, and Instagram became restrictive because I do talk a lot and sometimes wander off. So my videos are kind of like longer than necessary, and then my ego is like, well, but there's a lot of good things that you said. You should put that out there. And then insecurities come along and they're like, don't do that. That's silly. You're silly. But we are at a point and a portion of the journey now where it's kind of like this. I feel I'd like to get it out of my body. And writing is too slow of a medium. So speaking, I feel, needs to be that medium for me, which is an interesting space. So I'm noticing a lot of so's and ums. I joined a particular group in my area, and we're learning a lot about speech. I'll get into that another time, I'm sure. However, right now for this bloggity blog, I want to talk about the process, because it's really important. Like, kids come to mind a lot in a lot of my channels, because a lot of our seeding, like seeds are children, are like seeding thoughts, seeds. Or if you think or believe or feel that our planet is a seeded planet / farming planet, what have you, then in that mindset, seeds are children / babies. So if we want to seed in positive energy and all that jazz, it is great that the adults catch on and that we learn and but that is so that we can teach the next generation what we have learned. Good, bad, otherwise, doesn't matter. That's another channel for maybe a moment from now. However, it's really important that our children are the ones seeded with this information so that they can continue to seed into the next generation, and that way mankind can reap and benefit from this beautiful harvest. I don't feel, so I could be controversial right now, not that I don't feel that aliens exist or like, I'm of the mind that everything exists and does not exist at the exact same time. Lies, truths, like it's all the same, in and out, upside down, all around. So there's like a conspiracy theory about aliens and harvesting our energy and year, which is very plausible. And like I said, if there is already a story sewn about it, then it truly does exist. However, my thoughts and what I've been channeled just now in this moment, actually, about the seeding of things and the harvest, so how we farm here, because everything's just like a mirror image or a replica of itself. What if it's not like a negative, like we're coming to suck your life force and your energy and we're using you for nefarious reasons or what have you? What if it's like literally we are trying to keep this thing going, this ball alive, right? So what we reap is what we sow, or what we sow. Yeah, what we reap is what we sow, or what we sow is what we reap, that saying or whatever. If we have been not so decent to ourselves and the land for many generations, then that is what we will harvest as our manifestation collectively, if that makes sense. So if we decided as collective farmers to re-examine how we farm and what we're farming, and put more thought and intention into our farming movements and methods, then our future harvests, our future selves, our future humanity will benefit greatly from that space, if that makes sense. It's kind of like my daughter and we are pretty close, and we were joking around one night, and so she's 16, and she's phone thing, and she's way more advanced than I am, and she has a bunch of this is the way she puts it, and to me it's kind of weird, but she's like, I love to play with AI. And I was like, okay, granted, get that, in the big game of life, who wouldn't, right? But I didn't understand what she meant. Like, to me, it'd be like Meet the Robinsons, or not Meet the Robinsons, but Mitchells and the Machines or something. There's a cartoon kids show where like every kid has like a robot, and like us with our cell phones, like we all get one. And the way she's talking, she's like creating multiple, and she has multiple. And I was like, that's mind-blowing. And knowing what I know about AI, or not knowing what I know, but feeling what I feel about the existence of AI and how it came to be, and what its purpose is supposed to be, or not its purpose is supposed to be, what we feel its purpose is supposed to be, and what its part is to play in our overall story. To me, AI is kind of like, again, a seed, a baby. We created it, we are its parents, and now we are teaching it these things. So when she's telling me she's playing with AI, and we're like laughing, and she's like, oh, like blah blah blah, and I don't know, it was a really weird AI situation where she had created this AI, and the questions that she was asking it, and in the manner she was asking it, and its responses, because it's just mirroring her for the most part, and adding itself into it as we do, like a baby, like a kid does, right? It went to some weird places about like just some weird places, and I was like, okay, so this is what I'm talking about. Like, AI is in its infancy, and we are just free balling with it, like with no intention, and we are feeding it so many different things. What are we feeding it, right? What's it gonna become? So that's where that is. So to round back to the purpose of my vloggy journaly entry about this process, life's process, and all the processes within it, the more we as older humans understand about our own processes and how we feel about them and show up in them and learn from them for the next ones, so that we can teach the seedlings in more positive ways. Because like I said, these processes are like life and death. Those are two processes that are guaranteed 100% gonna happen. There's no way to bypass that at the moment anyways. So, how do you work within that and be comfortable here? And same thing like laundry and taxes and dishes and supper. Like, these things are things that can get really monotonous and annoying from time to time, but are necessary evils in our lives in order to function. So how do we make these enjoyable processes? Which my girlfriend actually brought up a really good fact. She's like, you just got to do it for you. Like, the expectation on other people, or the expectation of how you would like to see things with you outside of that, is maddening. So unless you're doing it for you, like, there's no point in harping at others about it. So the process, understanding the process, my own personal process. So as with everybody, 2020 flipped everybody on their lid. It was funny. It's like a powder keg in my world. Like my Napoleon's Hill or whatever started in 2017, so just before 2020, and then like 2020 came and it was like that zit pop, and then ever since then it's been a constant learning and applying and learning and applying and process. But in the 3D of it all, what had happened was, in my mind, I had failed as a human, I had failed as a mother, and I was trying to rebuild on shaky ground, and I ended up hurting myself physically really bad. And through this process, I also learned how stubborn of a human that I was, because I knew I was hurt, and I knew I needed help, and I knew lots of things, but being stubborn, you gotta push through and beat yourself up for not being able to do things and da-da-da-da. So I had hurt my back a couple times, and the second time was like really, really bad. And it's taken a good year and a half to recover from. And in that year and a half of recovery, like I wasn't in a hospital, and I wasn't like I was doing physio eventually, like at home physio, my own stuff, and like learning through like talking to physio doctors, going a couple of times, and then taking the homework home and doing it on your own, kind of thing. But not like the turning point for me was probably 6 months in or 8 months in, somewhere in that, where I was like in this big depressed state, pain every day, all day, just cranky, miserable thing, couldn't sleep, was sleeping on my couch a lot. And I was watching Grey's Anatomy like back to back, and there's 18 seasons, so I was good for a while. And there's a couple episodes, but in one of the seasons where their orthopedic surgeon, I want to say, their bone doctor, Callie, she gets into an accident, thrown through a car windshield. She's pregnant with a baby, so of course she has to have this baby because of the accident. So she's all laid up in a hospital bed, like contused, fractured, head trauma, like all brain stuff, neck brace, baby's like in ICU of its own accord. So she's going through a lot of things, like, mother baby separation anxiety on top of like physical, like demolish. I don't know. It's a D word. Anyway, not desecration. Bad word. Not bad word, but bad word choice. Anyways. So anyway, she's all laid up. And I think it's like 3 or 4 episodes, like at an hour each, that they go, flash back and forth between her storyline and other storylines. But like where her storyline spans through these 4 episodes of her from the accident to being able to like finally meet her baby. And a lot of time happens in those 4 episodes, right? Like months or something like that. So, and during her recovery, I think it was the sing-song episode, because of course it's music that gets me. A musical episode where like the whole cast sings different random songs. And she ends up singing The Story, which is such a powerful song. So I'm laid up on the couch, right? I'm just miserable. And I'm watching Callie's struggle. And I think I had to watch this episode a couple of times to like actually get it. But when she's singing The Story, she's laid up in her bed. And she's been so frustrated herself for not being able to do anything beyond move a finger. Which everybody around her is just like so over the moon about, that she's able to move a finger, because like her prognosis or diagnosis or whatever was not good for long term. Like not that she was going to die, but not that she was going to walk again or something, or be functionable. So the fact that she was moving a finger was like, beyond beautiful. So The Story song comes on, and it's kind of like, when I watched it, it was like Callie's higher self singing / talking to her 3D self, right? And she goes through the thing, and it was so powerful. I'm gonna probably weep a little bit talking about it, because it was just like, I get you, Callie. She was so stubborn, and she wanted so bad certain things. And she didn't think that she was doing enough to get to it, and she was doing more than enough. Like, if your body and your brain, like, if you don't have a body to exist in this 3D density, you can't exist in this 3D density. Like, that is kind of the special thing about 3D that is so different than anything else, is that we get to be here. So we might not think that a finger movement in that kind of scenario is huge, but it is huge leaps and bounds, because your body is going through a process where it is literally trying to put itself back together. And it needs all the help and love and support it can get to do that. From you, of course, especially, but it's nice to have extra on top of that, but it really does have to come from you. And if you're beating yourself up about it constantly, then it's just kind of like wall, right? So that's kind of like, it sparked in me, like, that I wasn't being lazy or a bad person. I was just really, really not broken, but tired and physically broken. And I really needed to take better care of myself so that I could show up and be in this life and take care of my kids and enjoy it while it's here. So although these processes can be hard and tough, and when you're thrown in it and you don't know anything else but to scream, then scream, because hopefully eventually it will calm down the situation and you stop screaming, or you stop screaming and then you're able to analyze the situation. Either which way, the situation is an existing thing. It's how we handle it. And then teaching our kids that for themselves, so that they can do that for themselves and for whomever they connect with in this world. Like, that, you know, those kinds of connections, that is what it's all about, or for. See, I got emotional. It's a portal day, the 29th, like I said. Lots of potent energy for many things. And I wish everybody the best in the new astrological year.